The countryside was quiet that morning, too quiet. A soft wind brushed through the tall grass beside a lonely road, where time seemed to have stopped. Hidden in the shade of an old tree sat a rusted metal cage, forgotten and lifeless. Inside it, a thin brown dog pressed her paws against the bars, her tired eyes scanning the empty path ahead. Her ribs showed through her fur, and beside her, two tiny puppies whimpered weakly, their cries fading into the silence. She had been trapped for days. No food, no water, no sign of help. Every sound made her lift her head in hope, but every time, the road remained empty. The only thing keeping her alive was the faint heartbeat of her puppies, nestled close to her chest. And then, from the tall grass nearby, something stirred. From the tall grass, a small white figure emerged, silent, cautious, and out of place. It was a rabbit, its fur bright against the dull, dusty road. It paused, ears twitching, sensing something unusual in the still air. The mother dog lifted her head, eyes locking onto the rabbit's. For a brief moment, time seemed to freeze, two creatures from different worlds, staring at each other in quiet understanding. The dog whimpered softly, pressing her paw through the narrow gap in the cage as if pleading. The rabbit didn't move, only tilted its head, studying her trembling form and the weak puppies curled beside her. Then, without warning, it turned and hopped away into the grass. The mother dog's ears drooped, her faint hope fading once more. She lowered her head beside her pups, unaware that the rabbit's disappearance wasn't the end, it was the beginning. The sun climbed higher, pouring heat over the lonely road. Inside the cage, the mother dog shifted restlessly, her strength fading. She nudged her puppies closer, their tiny bodies pressed against her for warmth and safety. But her milk had run dry days ago. Their faint cries pierced the silence, echoing her helplessness. Desperation burned inside her chest. She scraped her paws against the rusty bars until they bled, trying to break free. But the metal didn't move. With every passing minute, her breaths grew slower, weaker. Her gaze drifted toward the road again, searching for any sign of life, a sound, a shadow, a miracle. Nothing. She let out a trembling whine, her head sinking to the ground. Her eyelids fluttered, heavy with exhaustion. Just as darkness began to pull her under, a faint rustle came from the tall grass once more. Something was returning. From the tall grass, the white rabbit emerged again, but this time, it wasn't empty-pawed. Clenched tightly between its teeth was a torn plastic bag, dragging noisily across the dirt. It stopped near the cage, panting from effort. The mother dog lifted her head weakly, her dull eyes widening. The rabbit nudged the bag closer, pulling and pushing with stubborn determination until it pressed against the metal bars. Inside were crumbs of bread, wilted leaves, and tiny scraps of vegetables, leftovers from a nearby farmhouse. The mother sniffed the air, then carefully licked through the bars, tasting food for the first time in days. Her puppies stirred, sensing life again. The rabbit stepped back, watching silently, its tiny chest rising and falling fast. Then, after a moment, it hopped away into the grass once more. But this time, the mother didn't feel despair. She kept her eyes on the direction it had gone, her heart whispering a fragile hope. Maybe it will come back. The next afternoon, the road was no longer silent. A teenage boy, on his way home from school, noticed movement near the old tree. Curious, he pulled out his phone and froze. There, right before his eyes, a white rabbit was dragging a plastic bag toward a rusty cage. Inside, a weak mother dog and her tiny puppies waited, watching their small savior in silence. The boy couldn't believe what he was seeing. His hands trembled as he recorded the moment, the rabbit's determination, the dog's quiet gratitude. Later that night, he uploaded the clip online with a simple caption, "Even animals understand kindness better than we do." By morning, the video had exploded across the internet. Millions watched, cried, and shared. Headlines appeared everywhere. A rabbit helps a trapped dog. Humanity restored. The world was stunned. Compassion had just found a new face by sunrise. Rescuers had already traced the video's location. A small team of animal welfare workers arrived at the quiet countryside road, carrying food, water, and medical kits. As they approached the old tree, one of them gasped. The scene from the video was real. The rusted cage, the trembling dog, the fragile puppies. And beside them, the white rabbit, waiting. It didn't run away. Instead, it stood still, its dark eyes fixed on the rescuers, as if it had been guarding the family all night. One rescuer knelt beside the cage, whispering softly, "It's okay, sweetheart. You're safe now." The old lock snapped open with a metallic click. The mother dog stumbled forward, weak but alive. She immediately turned to her pups, licking their tiny faces as they whimpered softly. The rabbit stepped back, watching the reunion in silence. Then, as the rescuers wrapped the family in warm blankets, it turned and hopped quietly into the tall grass, disappearing the same way it had first appeared. It had done its part. Days turned into weeks, and the mother dog's transformation was nothing short of miraculous. Under the gentle care of shelter workers, her wounds healed, her eyes brightened, and her tail wagged again, something she hadn't done in a long time. Her puppies, once fragile and silent, now played freely in the shelter yard, tumbling over each other with joy. The video of her rescue continued to spread, touching millions around the world. Donations poured in for the animal shelter. People from every corner of the globe sent messages, calling the rabbit a symbol of pure kindness. Even schools began sharing the story to teach children about empathy and compassion. A few weeks later, a kind family arrived at the shelter. The moment the mother dog saw them, she wagged her tail and leaned forward, trusting again. They adopted her and her puppies together, never to be separated again. The world had watched a miracle unfold, and it all began with a rabbit who chose compassion over fear. Months later, a local news team returned to the countryside to film an update. The once trapped mother dog, now healthy and radiant, trotted beside her new family. As the cameras rolled, a soft rustle came from the tall grass. Everyone turned, and there it was. The same white rabbit hopped into view, stopping just a few feet away. The dog froze, tail wagging gently, her eyes filled with recognition. For a long, silent moment, they simply looked at each other, two souls bound by an unspoken bond. Maybe it was coincidence. Or maybe, gratitude knows no species. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more true stories that remind us what kindness really means. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss a moment like this, because sometimes, the smallest creatures teach us the biggest lessons about love.